Ah, yes, Palos Verdes, PV. The pristine hills, premium resort hotels, classic surfing spots, and an EPA Superfund cleanup site. Learn more on PCZ TV. PCZ TV. Today's episode, DDT in PV. DDT, diphenyl trichloroethane. Wow, did I say DDT right? I don't know. Well, suffice to say, DDT is a colorless, tasteless, and almost odorless crystalline chemical compound.
Inhale this, but do not touch.
I smell nothing.
What you do not smell is called iocane powder. It is odorless, tasteless, dissolves instantly in liquid, and is among the more deadly poisons known to man.
This amazing chemical was developed in the 1930s as an insecticide and widely used during World War II to protect our troops in the tropics from the spread of malaria, typhus, dysentery, typhoid fever, etc., among other nasty infections. Trust the science. This amazing chemical showed that America was helping the world. For instance, during the war, Americans treated a typhus epidemic among civilians in Italy by spraying DDT onto families to kill the lice that transmitted disease. Trust the science. During the war, the American chemical industry expanded to meet the needs of the military. After the war, the U.S. approved the civilian use of DDT. The FDA considered it safe up to 7 parts per million in food. See? Totally harmless. So these chemical plants had an incentive to continue to make and sell DDT, the wonder chemical that farmers, ranchers, families, kids could all use to control pests and increase food production. What's not to like? But even during the war, some scientists were expressing concerns about the possible side effects of DDT. We now know that DDT had all sorts of naughty side effects, but back then it was only suspected. Trust the science. Not unlike cigarette manufacturers, the chemical industry that made this product fought back. They continued to claim that the dangers of DDT were greatly exaggerated. Harmful? Those are crazy thoughts. Concerns were highlighted in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and by then it was pretty much a given fact that it was harmful, and most countries in the world banned it. But, my lovely viewers, what does this have to do with Palos Verdes? There are no factories in Palos Verdes. But there were factories in the South Bay. The Montrose Chemical Corporation in Torrance would ramp up DDT production big time to meet global demand for this miracle chemical. They built a new larger plant in 1947 and business boomed. Montrose eventually became the world's leading producer of DDT. During its 35 years of operation, the factory produced an estimated 800,000 tons of DDT, and in doing so, made an estimated 1 million gallons of sulfuric acid wastewater annually, along with polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, and I probably said that wrong. So, industrial waste, well, where did it all go? Well, initially the plant just dumped all their waste into a drainage ditch on site. Awkward. Then they dumped it into the local sewer system. And the untreated effluent made its way through the sewer system and into the ocean off White Point in Palos Verdes. As time progressed, they evolved into storing it in big 55-gallon drums and then dumping them into a government-designated deep-sea dumping site in the ocean off Palos Verdes. By the way, for those easily offended, this practice was legal from the 1930s until the 1970s. Trust the science. Time passes, and the DDT business soured, and Montrose finally shut down his plant in 1982. And in 1985, the company paved over the property. Hey, nothing to see here. Meanwhile, the EPA took a look at the site and said, "Oh my," and added it to its superfund national priorities list. So, whatever happened to all that waste dumped off PV I talked about earlier? Well, during the 1980s, high concentrations of DDT began to be reported in ocean fish, especially bottom dwellers such as the white croaker, mussels, and abalone off PV. Well, it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the source of this ecological problem lay in the dumping. Needless to say, warning signs went up all over the fishing sites with regards to the danger of eating fish containing these high levels of toxin. And the former Point Vincente fishing access location changed to be just a tourist site. No fishing, no bueno. So just what and how much was off PV? Well, Montrose record keeping wasn't exactly specific, but in April of 2021, scientists from UC San Diego's Scripps Institute of Oceanography released a survey that found more than 27,000 barrels of unknown contents at depths up to 3,000 feet and across 36,000 acres of the seafloor off the Palos Verdes Peninsula. That's in addition to an estimated 1,770 tons of DDT dumped into the ocean via the county's sewer system. They also mapped the locations and found that some of these barrels were dumped considerably closer to the coast than the designated deep sea dumping site, and many of the barrels were punctured, probably beforehand to ensure that they would sink. But wait, it gets better. Because the EPA later discovered 15 additional offshore dump sites for disposing of radioactive waste, refinery and oil drilling waste, chemical waste, and military munitions. So, radioactive waste? Estimated to be 56,000 barrels by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Well, that's awkward. But every mushroom cloud has a silver lining because, well, radioactive waste does not have the same impact on the environment since there's no concentrating effort like DDT or PCB. And the isotopes of the radioactive waste would eventually decay anyway. See? Blinky is your friend. As for military munitions, well, so what can be done? Well, not much, really. You have World War II munitions interspersed with leaking DDT and radioactive containers. I mean, to be honest, this sounds totally like the script for Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. Which leads me to ask the most important rhetorical question of this video. What exactly would a California Godzilla look like? Oh my. Meanwhile, enjoy the ocean views from PV. Just don't eat the fish out of the Santa Monica Bay. And if you've been watching so far, I thank you.
Bye!